So acrylic painting today. I think I'm going to start with a sketch and then I'll get my paints out. I was doing a bunch of sketching the other day, so there's lots of eraser stuff all over the desk. So this one can have some kind of castle structure going on in here. Another little castle structure up in here. Mountains back here. Then kind of a field looking thing going on over here. Some nice clouds up in there. Just going to kind of keep this pretty loose. Sketch, I mean. Well, the painting too, but especially the sketch. I don't know how well you can see all that, but it's kind of a mountain looking kind of thing, or a big hill right here. I don't like that line, so I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to erase it actually so I don't forget that I don't like it. Trying to figure out how much I want to sketch on this guy. I want to definitely put in a little bit of an outline for the castle looking thing. I think I want it like here. I don't like this guy here. So he's leaving. Those are taller than I wanted them. Might come back in later and do more sketching on that. I think for now I'm going to paint around it. Well, actually that might all get painted over because I kind of want this guy to be sort of a little blendy. I don't know. I guess it depends on if I dry brush in this guy or not. We're going to find out here in a minute. So, just using Winsor Newton Galleria acrylics. So this is Winsor Blue. I guess I can point out some, for palettes on acrylic, I don't like using a glass palette because then you're into scraping it. And I don't particularly like to scrape glass with a razor blade. So this is just freezer paper that I've like binder clipped onto my glass palette, which works pretty well. And another thing with acrylic that might help is make sure you get a good bit of paint on your palette, otherwise it'll just dry on you. And I'll show some other kind of things to help avoid your palette drying, because that's kind of a problem with acrylic paintings, especially if they go on for a long time, which this one certainly is. I'm thinking this painting might take two sessions, I'm not sure, maybe 3. That was Alizarin Crimson. You know, I seem to have forgotten that I need brown too. I guess I don't need it, but kind of like to have a brown burn umber or something. It's cadmium yellow. Some titanium white. This tube's a little low, so I might have to switch to my other titanium white. Okay, yeah. That tube is like out, so I guess I'm switching. This is the stuff that you can get at Hobby Lobby. It's Master's Touch. Okay, now I need to find my brown. There it is. This is raw umber. I usually prefer to use a burnt umber, but it's all right. So I'll throw some of that right here. So I'm going to do the sky first. And then maybe I'll do these mountains. But sky first. Because I kind of want some of that white to show through. Maybe kind of look like some clouds. So I'm going to do that. And on this palette, I might throw in some permanent rose too, because there's going to be a lot of pinks in this one. So if I feel like the alizarin crimson isn't doing it for me and I want a little bit of a cooler red, I'm going to go with the permanent rose. So nice big brush to start. This is just a synthetic filbert. And I think I'm going to mix up like a pinkish color first. I've just already made a mistake. I should have started with white and put a little bit of red into it. That way I don't have to add quite so much pink. Or sorry, red. Sorry again, white. That way I don't have to add so much white. I'm happy enough with that. Just go ahead and throw that in nice and loose. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up purple. That's blue. And I'm just trying to get some colors on the canvas and some layers kind of built up so I can kind of play with them and refine them more as they dry. I'm going to try and let some of that dry brushing sort of things happen. Also, I'm going to move my light because it's making it difficult to see. Maybe that's a little better. Light's going to fight me the whole time, probably. It always does. Okay. I think I'm going to put some more of this up here. Okay. Some more pink. This one's going to be a little bit lighter pink, a little bit whiter. It's going to be, there's some of that over here. Try to get a little bit of that in there while it's still wet to get some kind of mixing and blending to go on. Still trying to keep it pretty loose. Some of that in here. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to add more of that like kind of hot pink up in there. This is going to go up here. Oh my gosh, I'm painting my jar. Okay. Now, I'm going to get some more of that hotter pink. We're going to try and get some of that in there. I want a little bit hotter pink actually. Trying to add some kind of crazy dry brush stuff into that purple too to sort of break it up a little bit. Give it some texture. Yeah, this castle's getting painted over. Spent so much time on that beautiful little drawing. It's not going to survive. It's how it be, though. It's in the way. Whoa. It's too much white. There we go. Trying to vary up the colors a little bit. There's that light fighting me again. I don't know what the best thing for this light is. Over there, maybe? It's not fighting me for now, so that's where he stays. Now I can't see. Oh, now I can't see the palette. Guess there's just going to be a little bit of reflection. That's going to be how it is. I'm gonna use this mist bottle to hit my paints so that they stay wet, and also to kind of reactivate my mixture a little bit because it was getting a bit dry there. Gotta be kind of careful doing that though, because it'll really make your paints wet. So if you want any kind of dry brush, it's not going to do that for you when it's that wet. I'll go on real kind of transparent. That's okay though. Okay. Actually, this might be perfect. Just throw some of that in there. And then I'll go in with some white and add some clouds. Okay. I'm not thrilled with this up here. That's going to have to get repaired at some point. I'm probably just going to dry brush some, well, I'll just probably layer it. I'll go in with some dry brush to add some more texture while trying to keep the colors the same. But for now, this is probably, yeah, so that's wet. And I'm not going to be able to get any dry brush texture on a wet. So I'm going to move in right here instead. And actually, this is going to be the same kind of purple as the clouds, I think. I'm just going to block this in. Maybe I'll keep some of that brushwork. I don't know. We're going to find out. My kind of thought process is if I like it, I'm not going to touch it. And so if I like it, it won't get touched. Right, I consider that blocked in. See how this guy's doing. Still looking a little wet. Give him a minute to figure himself out. I think this is probably dry though, because that was pretty watered down when I first put it down. So now I think I'm gonna clean this brush off and switch to a smaller one and try to add some kind of cloudy bits in there. I think that sky over here actually turned out pretty close to what I kind of want. It's got a, I don't know, it's got some kind of abstract things going on. Whether or not I keep that, I don't know. But it's mostly the colors that I want. Over here it's too blendy for my taste, and right here it's a little bit blendy. Over here's okay. So I'm just gonna get some white over here. I'm gonna just add like a touch of red in there. And then this is gonna be some cloudy looking things. And I think I'm gonna have to re-add some pink down in there because I want it to sort of look like its sun is setting or something. Try and get some dry brushing in there. Had some kind of wispy looking clouds. That's going to have to get workshopped. It'll be easier to see once I get more into. Okay, now I'm going to add some more pink in here. Just kind of going back and forth until I get what I want. It's kind of how the acrylic painting procedure goes. Because you constantly are making hard edges all over the place. So, and your paints sometimes don't dry quite as transparent, or I'm sorry, opaque as you want them. Sometimes you got to go in and add more layers, and it's all part of the process. It's going to be lots of back and forth going on. Honestly, the problem with acrylic paintings is I tend to get kind of perfectionisty about them. Not that any of them are ever perfect, but I tend to think too hard about them. I don't know, that kind of looks sort of okay with the way that's looking right now. Maybe some like dry brushy pink stuff up in here. I said I wasn't going to touch that corner, and there I am touching it. I think I want some of that in here too. With acrylics, it's kind of, you want to put down your wet paint on your brush first, and then once your wet paint's down, you can kind of play around with your brush while it's dry and get some of the dry brush blending and some of the dry brush texture in there. So I'm not always constantly going back into the paint. I'm kind of thinking, where do I want heavy paint, and then where do I want to add some kind of blendy stuff. I'm not just always going straight back and forth into the paint. This is going to be kind of a wash. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, and then just wash the bottom of that. Some pink. Sort of blend it up. I think I'm going to have to re-add some of those clouds in there, but trying to soften some of that. Okay. I think I need to start working in here so I can start working on some edges. It's really hard to judge these clouds and stuff without kind of the more the foreground, midground in front of it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So that for that, I think I'm gonna paint sort of a dark brown purple color. So it's really wet. That's kind of green. Not what I wanted. Okay, that's blue. Okay, that's better. I don't know how that's going to show up on the canvas. Guess we're going to find out. It's mostly blue. It's okay. I'll try and mix some of that on the canvas. Some red in there. Oh wow, that's all glare. I definitely need to figure out a different lighting situation. Because that one just ain't having it. Sure, there wasn't exactly the color I wanted, but it's just the front, the bottom layer anyway. So as long as it's an opaque color, it's just going to help me paint over the white. Maybe I'll leave it. Probably not though. It's way cooler than I wanted it. Just maybe while it's wet, I'll throw some brown in there. Part of my problem is I'm using raw umber instead of burnt umber, so it's kind of a cooler brown than I want. That's part of my problem. Because that's just making it green, because it's, I don't know, almost like a really dark yellow, instead of more like kind of a really dark red. I don't know how much it's worth really trying to workshop this, but I'll mix the color better on my next pass. All right. I've annihilated my red here, so I need some more of that. Okay. Thinking. Just throw this down in here. It's not going to be this dark down here, but maybe I'll put it in kind of light. It's a nice color. I like that color, but it's really not what I want. This will just kind of be for my reference. This is kind of the composition. Got sort of a big hill, then another hill behind it with this thing on top. This is a mountain range that's behind that hill. And then this will be sort of a plain in between. And then this is another hill over here. Okay. This is going to be wet for a long time. So I'm going to avoid that for a little while. It looks like my clouds are dry, so I can play with them some more. Okay. Let me think, what do they need? More white in here for clouds. I think I'm gonna lighten up back there too. And I might, I'm gonna play around some more. See what I think after I'm done playing around. Plan's pretty loose on this one, so. Yeah, that's really making that cloud cut in there. Do some of that over here too. Okay. Picked up some blue. It's a disaster. I wrecked a beautiful cloud. Or like I wrecked a half-painted cloud that was going to get painted over anyway, but... Okay. Want more of that in here too. Clean some of that blue off of my brush. So I don't want any of that blue in my white clouds. I guess my sort of hot pink clouds. Okay. Trying to get this a little more opaque. So I don't know how much more I want to play with these before I've got more of the foreground and midground in. I'm gonna have to add some transition kind of colors in here, I think. But not yet. Moving the light again. I guess I'm gonna move it around as I paint because I can't keep it. I can't keep the glare off of everything. Okay. Now, I think I want to work on some transitions here. Just sort of a orange, maybe. Fighting with the light again. Not quite that yellow. Okay, we're gonna try that. I kind of want to dry brush it, so I'm just getting a little bit of the paint off of my brush. That was pretty good for what I wanted, color-wise. Okay, I'm gonna add some of that at the top too. I think I'm gonna dry brush some more purple in there once I'm done with this. You can't see it because the glare is bad. It's too, like, I don't know, it looks like a rainbow now, so I'm definitely gonna have to add some purple in there to cut that up. Kind of make it more cloud looking. But I like the color better, and the color is the important bit. Shape I can play with. I mean, I can play with the color too, obviously, but as long as the colors are right, it's gonna look right. That's generally the rule. The colors look right. I did all right. Just trying to get some soft transitions now. And I think I'm going to paint the mountains in now. And I think to do that, I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller brush. Well, yeah, I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller one. Just another filbert. And this is going to be I'll probably do the darks first, so a little more blue and red in here. Too blue again. This red is fighting me. Now it's too red. It's kind of pretty close to the value I want, though, which is nice. Okay, it's pretty good there. I really kind of wanted it to be a stronger purple. I don't know that it's gonna be. It's really too dark to be playing with the other bits. That's not quite red enough. Looks like a blob right now, but I'm gonna workshop it once it dries. Just trying to get some of the values in there. Okay, I'm gonna stop touching those for now. This is looking dry. So now I'm gonna start over here. Pinch some of that out. Okay, so for this, I think I'm gonna throw in tower, I guess. Because this one is going to be kind of just dark. And then I'm going to add some sort of tree shapes and colors to it with some different colors. I really should have probably spent more time trying to get this dark color worked out, because it's really a lot cooler than I wanted it. But we'll try adding some stuff in there and see how I feel about it. But I think I can add the tower and then just blend it into the bottom however I want. This one's going to be kind of tricky because it's going to be sort of a warm, earthy kind of color. It's just going to be quite the opposite of the pinks I've been doing. This is close. Add a touch of brown to one half of it. A little bit of red. Okay. I can go ahead and throw some of this in here too. Well, it needs a little bit of blue in it. Not that much blue. Well, now I've done it. I just kind of mixed more close to a color I wanted in the foreground. So I was like, yeah, I'll just put it in. Same time as the tower while the tower dries, and I can highlight it and shadow it and all that. I'm probably going to wait until I've got more figured out before I mess with details anyway. This one's not coming together automatically, so it's going to take probably a lot of workshopping. This one's got a lot of colors I'm not fond of mixing in it too, which makes it a good exercise, but not really a natural one to just sort of paint. I'm running out of juice. Just missing it so I can get that last little bit of paint on there. It's not quite the right color. I want this to be a little bit greener than this, but this will serve as a nice underpainting, I guess. Okay. Still fighting with this light. Seems like it doesn't matter what I do. I can't make it not have glare. Okay. I'm gonna wait a little bit more time for him. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and start putting castle in, which is again the same kind of color, but a little bit different. Just trying to give myself something to start with. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and take a pass at this castle. Try to get the shadows in. Okay. I killed my picture, so I'm painting blind. We're just gonna go for it. No, I generally want top to be somewhere in there. Maybe a bit higher. Might be too high. I think I'm gonna get, no, I'm gonna go with a smaller brush so I can get the shapes closer. So I don't have to paint sky over it. Probably gonna have to paint sky over it anyway, but. So this is little tiny flat. Synthetic still. Still more blue than I want it. It's like my red is failing me. It's like I mix equal parts red and blue, and it still comes out blue. Where's the red? That's one problem with, I mean, I've been painting in 3 or I guess maybe 4 different mediums. And so every time I switch, I have to like reacclimate myself, which is always a good time. That was way taller than I wanted it to be, so I guess he's the tallest one. Okay. Just trying to correct the color on this guy. And I broke him. Oh well. That's how he is. Okay. I got something to start with there. It's probably all going to get painted. It's all going to have to get fixed. Okay. Now I'm going to try and mix up. Well, actually, I could probably use the same pile, add like a tiny bit of white to it. Kind of a warmer purple. So it's a little bit different from the mountains over there. It's pretty close to what I wanted. Okay, I'm going to go warmer and a little lighter. Can't really paint too much of this because it's still wet. I do want to kind of get the colors in there. Now I've got some more challenging colors to mix, some sort of really dark looking greens. Actually, I might be able to just use like a straight raw umber and then add a tiny bit of white in it. It's not too bad. Kind of want a little bit more yellow in it. That lightened it up, so I want to darken it a bit. I want it to be kind of green. And I've way overdone it. It's not great. There we go, that's getting closer. That's way too green though. So I'm gonna throw some red in there to kill it a little bit. Okay, that's pretty close. Looks maybe a little bit dark. And that made it too blue. Okay, that's pretty close. We'll start with that and I can adjust it as I want to. It's not quite dark enough. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of that, the shadows and stuff in here. Since I've got the color. Add some kind of tree looking guys in there. It's really not the color that I want, but I can put some kind of black on top of them and cut them in and they'll look better. That one's got a bunch of white in it, which I really didn't want. It's okay. I think I'm gonna have to cheat and use some black because I can't find my burnt umber. And mixing blue and raw umber is not getting me black. It's getting me kind of dark green. So I'm gonna have to cheat and use some Mars black. Don't really like to use the Mars black because I don't really have a lot of control over what it does. You can't really warm it up or cool it very well. But I need black, so it's coming out. I'm gonna try and do some mixing on there. It's gonna be a lot of paints. It's gonna take forever for this to dry. But, you know, just playing around, see what it does. Maybe it'll make some interesting shapes. It's too black. Okay. A little more painting on this castle, but I have to move the light because you won't be able to see if I don't. I'm gonna be painting right in here. It's too dark. Doing some dry brush blending to blend those colors together a little bit. I think I'm gonna have to do a lot more work up in here. I mean, obviously, but soon I'm gonna have to do some work up in there because I got this color a little bit wrong. Shouldn't say wrong, just not quite where I want it. It's a little bit closer to wanted, sort of a dark peach color. I don't know how to describe that, but that was more what I was looking for. This is definitely getting like painted over almost completely. But when I get the highlights in there, I'll do that. Go ahead and paint in my shadows here. Should have been a little bit careful because now I'm gonna have to paint cloud over that, but not done with the clouds anyway, so. Okay, I'm gonna let some of that dry so that I can come in with the highlights and not get them mixed up too much. I think I'm gonna work in here now. It'll be a little bit of a spire or something sticking up back there. Dry brush some shadow onto this tower over here. And go ahead and add I don't know, a little piece of the building there. Okay, go ahead and put a roof on that. It's gonna have to get worked a little bit because it's not perfect. I'll go ahead and mist the paints I got up here. It's gonna have to get all kinds of workshopped. But it's a start, so definitely needs a lot of work. Just dry brush a little tree to kind of cover them in there. Kind of blend some of that. That's going to get heavily workshopped at a later time. I think it's about time to put my highlights in here. More highlights anyway. Which means kind of remixing up this color again. Hopefully closer to what I want this time. I might switch to a filbert brush. Yeah, I'm going to switch this little tiny filbert. Trying to get kind of a warmer version of this color here. Just hard because it's just going cool. The Alizarin Crimson is kind of a cooler red, so it's harder to get warmer colors with this palette. Shouldn't say it's harder. I mean, it's still, you could still do it pretty easy, but I'm kind of used to cadmium red. That's not too far off of what I wanted. We'll try it. Maybe I'll correct it later. It's actually too warm. So maybe that'll make a good color up here. I don't know. I'm gonna go back to the other one. I think that one's too warm. Just add some white, ought to fix it right up. Because I want it a little bit lighter anyway. Okay. I'm gonna try to put this in kind of loose. It's definitely still kind of a mess, but the colors are closer, so I'm not unhappy. Okay. I think I'm gonna wait before I paint anything else up there. Actually, let me see if this is still, yeah, this is still wet enough. I'm gonna go ahead and add this into, want that to be a little bit, well, I don't know, I think I'll probably wait on that. There's some kind of like pink highlights in there that I'm gonna do later. I do kind of want to remember where I want them. Okay. I'm gonna stop touching that for a minute. I'm gonna start throwing some trees in here. Which means switching to a bigger brush. My plan here is to just kind of switch up the colors a little bit as I go. And just kind of feel it out. Because I know I want dark colors, but I don't know what colors. So we're going to play around. Start with some really dark green, I think. Throw some red in there. Ended up more, wow, okay, that's not bad. I want them only vaguely green. Which means that they're going to be pretty red-green. Really more of like a brown, but okay, we're going to try that. See if that shows up against this anyway. It does. It does. Let's kind of put some of those loose in there. I think I'm going to make that kind of the landscape color here. Ground color, I should say. I'm probably going to cut into some of this with some of that highlight color. Because right now it doesn't really look right. Also didn't add enough. There's some blue in there still, but maybe I'll leave that. And this needs to be lighter. So my next color that I try is going to have to be lighter. So that it actually shows up. Throw some of this in there. That's a little bit lighter than I wanted it. So it's kind of an interesting color though. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of red in there to darken it more. A little more brown. I'll throw some of that in there. I mean, really, this is just too dark in general. The background is too dark. So maybe I just need to fix that now. I think that's closer to what I want. It's too blue though. Try this. See how I feel about it. That's way whiter than I want. Okay, I think I'm going to have an easier time working with this color. Let's throw some tree-looking things at the top of it. Okay. And clean that up a little bit later, but now I basically can't touch it, so it's too wet. Add some trees along the bottom here. Okay, I'm gonna workshop the mountains a little bit. I wonder how. Okay, it's still wet. Just cleaning my brush. This one definitely don't look like much yet. Just needs a little bit more love. Probably a lot more. See, I've been going for 2 hours already. And this thing is not even close. I'm thinking it's gonna be, this is gonna be one of those 8 or 10 session paintings. Okay. I still try to use a larger brush to kind of force me to be a little bit looser because I don't want to get too caught up in the details. I'm going to try and highlight some of these mountains with some pink. There's a touch of blue in there, so it's a little bit purpler. Purpler, that's a word. Okay, now I'm gonna actually just dry brush this, so get a little bit of that off of there. That was not dry enough. The effect is still kind of there. It's probably my favorite part about acrylic painting is doing the dry brush stuff. It's really a good time. I move my light a little bit. There you go. It's really annoying. I need to figure out a solution to that. I didn't have that problem when I was doing watercolor paintings on streaming. But I'm definitely having that problem with oil and acrylic paintings, I guess because they've got a little bit of shine to them. I mean, water does too, and when the watercolor does too, when it's, when it's a little bit wet, but not nearly to the extent that these two do. Between my oil painting and acrylic painting, I'm going to need a new light. I shift this over a little bit. This thing's looking a little blobby to me, so I'm going to try and, I don't know, give him like a plateau looking shape. How about I cut into my... I'm going to use, this is just another not dry, well, I mean, it's a dry brush, but it has no paint on it. Try and scrub that off, which didn't work. That's okay. And just come back in and touch the shadow up a little bit. These look a little more like mountains now. Now that they got a little bit of highlights on them. Probably still need a little work. See what else I can do. I think I want another lighter color on top of that one. All right, let's see what that looks like. Again, I'm gonna make sure it's kind of dry. I might tap it too. So I've got kind of a frizzy brush, kind of like that. Give it some more interesting textures. I don't know how I feel about all that. think, I don't know, this one down here kind of bothers me. I don't really love the way that mountain looks. That one, this guy right here. He might get workshopped. He's on the to-do list, like everything else in this painting is. Add some little bit of texture in there. Okay. This is such a weird shaped mountain. I don't know that I can leave it that way. It's like a triangle. I don't think mountains do that, but he stays for now. Give a little bit of a close up there because it's hard to see because of the light. That's kind of what that looks like. It's not perfect, but it's not meant to be the focal point of the painting either, so. Sorry, I saw another jagged little rock in there, so felt like it was getting added. Okay. Wash my brush. What to work on now? I like the sky. Okay, I'm gonna dry brush some of this cloud back. And you can't see because my light doesn't want me to. Okay, he wants to be right there, I guess. I think I'm gonna break this up with some more pink in the middle. Okay. Throw some of that over there. Get some more paint. All right, I'm gonna throw some pink in there now. Again, dry brushing. This guy is really busy. It's gonna be kind of taxing on the eyes. It's got a lot of like texture and stuff going on. Sort of wish what I had done was added some like gel medium or just wet the canvas a lot and then just kind of done it all at once. So it was a little softer and I don't know. But I kind of like the dry brush texture too. But usually works better for like water than the sky, honestly. Because a lot of times I don't want the sky to be quite so busy. And by busy, I just mean like a lot of like visual noise. So I mean, you can see all the texture in there. This actually looks better than I thought it should at this point. I mean, obviously it's just a bunch of like blocked in shapes and it's going to have to get refined a lot, but it does read like a castle already. So that means I got the colors okay. I mean, this looks like a mountain castle, something over there, but this thing is all kinds of ugly at the moment. So I'm not terribly unhappy with that. I'm kind of struggling right now with what to do with the sky because I don't know if I want to try and blend it more or leave it. I'm not sure. So I'm just seeing a cloud and I got yellow in it. It's a disaster. It was an artistic miscalculation. Just blend that yellow out of there. And add some white. Okay. Then I'm going to add some purple. Do I have any purple? No, it's too red. Okay, and that's straight blue. I gotta be so careful with that Windsor blue. It's like phthalo or something. It's crazy. I'm gonna add some pink in there because I don't love that. Trying to scrub some of that in so it blends nice. Some of that up there. Okay. I'm going to stand up and take a step back and just look at the sky for a second. Once I wash this brush, because I want to make a plan there. So I already know it needs a little more pink, but I'm going to make a little bit more better of a plan than more pink. It's kind of a weak plan. Yeah, it definitely needs more pink. Seeing if I can't do something with the light while I'm standing up. I don't know, I guess we'll do that for now. Okay. More pink, that was the plan. All right. Let me look at that for a second. Uh, I don't know. I don't love it, but maybe I'll like it better later. I'm done touching it for now. I think it's time to work more over here. Seems dry enough. So coming back over here, I think I want some kind of dark pink colors. So I'm going to come in here. Gosh, that blue is crazy strong. All right, I'm going to try this. We'll see how it works. Maybe I just need to do like a lot of layers. Guess that's what I'm going to do. Just do a bunch of layers. Because it's too transparent. Maybe just more paint too. Too much blue. See how that does. Still waiting for this one to come alive. You know, there's always sort of a stage. Maybe it never will, and it'll get painted over, but there's always kind of like a 10-minute period when the painting starts to make a little bit more sense and get a lot easier. And this one hasn't hit that yet. It's definitely still fighting me every step of the way. And I definitely appreciate it if it would ease up a little bit. Okay. So these are going to be the brighter looking trees. And I think I'm going to add some other ones. What do we think here? I'm going to do some like darker purple ones. See how dark that is? Okay. I'm just going to try and paint some of these in the back. Try to keep these a little skinnier. There we go. I'm hoping these show better when they dry. I mean, I'm going to highlight them a little bit. And I'm also going to add some more brown ones in there too. Not worrying too much about how these look just yet, because I can always paint more layers, fix them up. Just trying to get an idea of what I want. And I definitely want there to be some kind of slope going on here. So I want my trees to sort of stop around here. Maybe actually more back here. Because this tree looks like it's in front. This is going to need a lot of workshopping in here. Up here too, obviously, but this is definitely looking very plain. Doing more thinking. Alright, I'm going to start highlighting these because they're dry. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to get in some of the white so I can actually see what I'm doing. These I want to be a pretty intense color. I added just the tiniest touch of blue and it was still too much blue. It's crazy. Windsor blue is ridiculous. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted. Sort of a maroon color. I'm going to start touching these. I kind of want it to be textured, so I'm trying to break up my bristles a little bit. And that's not bright enough, but that's okay because I can just add another layer brighter. Trying to break up my bristles so that they look a little more like that. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. I can always also go in with some darks and cut in if I had too many lights, which is probably going to happen on at least one of these. All right, I go lighter now. Add a little more red. Add a little more red. More red because this red is weak. A little more white. A little more red. More red. More red. That's too much red. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Oh, that one's way too purple. Went a little crazy on him. Okay. I'm gonna have to add some more darks into that one, I think. I think I'm just gonna add another couple of those in there. Some a little sparse in the tree department still. Might add some different color ones in here, so it's not gonna stay that sparse, but wanted a couple more pinkish ones. I'm gonna try adding some more red in it, see what I think about that. Like a really red one. See what I think about that. Whoa. It's too much paint. Okay. Just needs darks. We'll fix that. If you want really kind of poppy colors with acrylic, it seems like a lot of paint or multiple layers is the way to do it. At least that's my assessment. Go with a lot of layers. It'll definitely help it stick out a little bit. Okay, now I need to add some of the other trees in there because, oh, okay. I guess there's a tree in there now. Guess that was a happy accident. Didn't really want a tree there, but now there's a tree there. So the color that I want for the other trees is like really dark, kind of mustard color. Sort of this color with these ones over here. But I think it's going to have to be a little bit lighter. Or maybe it's the same color. I'm going to get the red off on my brush because I want it to be a little bit green. Let me get some more brown. So I think I'm going to throw some red in there. Actually, I like that color right there. I'll try that, see how well that looks. Yeah, I mean, it's actually a little bit more red than I wanted. I don't know, we're gonna throw some of that in there. A lot of times in some of the other acrylics paintings I've done, I've just like painted a whole section in a certain color and then just completely painted over it. And that's probably going to happen here. The more colors you build up, the more stuff will start to kind of pop out at you and work. So a lot of times the answer is just more layers. At least for me it is. Okay. I want to do something here. I think what I'm going to do is actually add some some darks. So I'm just going to throw some black, a little bit of blue, just like a hair of white so I can see what color it is. It's black, that's what color it is. I don't want it that black. Red, will that fix it? Okay, red's turning that like kind of a purple black, which I like better. I'm gonna throw some of that in there. Try to sculpt some trees with some negative painting. Just adding some darks on that tree because I kind of killed all the darks on him. I'm gonna try to stipple it a little bit. Okay. Now it's a little bit too black, but that's okay. I'm gonna mist my paints again. Feeling a little bit tacky. I'm gonna add some like bright kind of things in there too. Eventually. I think I'm getting a little overzealous. This color. This never stopped me before, so I'm just gonna pretend I didn't observe that. Kind of adding it everywhere. Mainly because I like it better than that like weird gray color I put back there. This is kind of like a red black. I shouldn't say it's a very dark purple. And I prefer it. It's what I had back there. There's a lot of nice things happening in there now. It's definitely a good move. Throwing this color everywhere. It's done wonders. Okay, so I'm gonna add more browns now, I think. Okay, I want to paint an actual tree over here. Right now I've got just kind of some abstract marks. One of those needs to be a tree so that it doesn't look like a bunch of abstract marks. It looks like there's a tree. The trees need highlights, so that needs a highlight. I think I can just throw... Oh, okay, that was way too much white. I'm not putting that in there. Try that. It actually still looks too light. I really need to actually buy a tube of ultramarine blue instead of this Winsor blue, which I mean, I thought Winsor blue is the same kind of thing as ultramarine blue, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. Seems like it's way stronger than ultramarine blues that I've used before. All right, we're gonna try this color, and I'm gonna try and just stip a little bit of that on there. Oh, okay, it's way too light. I'm gonna actually try and like, disaster. Just throw some more brown in there. Touch of black in there too. Because I can't throw blue in there. Try that. That's not really better. It's just too much white in there, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on those. Should really wait till it dries before I try to play with it too much, but all right, I'm gonna work on this hill a little bit. Throw a little bit of that in there. Then I'm gonna throw a little bit of a lighter color in there too. I think I'm gonna leave this separation here. I'm actually gonna add a highlight over there. I try and get this a little bit like green looking. Kind of like that color, so I'm trying to get some trees in there that are that color. I think it works well against the purple. I think that's gonna work. I'm gonna throw some of that other places. Where else to put it though is the question. Maybe over here. Let's throw some of that in there. All right. These colors, I'm not thrilled with these. Things are going to have to happen here. Not quite sure what yet. I think I'm going to try and work through this section, get through this, and I might try and get this done. This one's going to be kind of tricky though. Well, maybe I just leave it loose. I kind of like that idea. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that idea. All right, so I'm going to add some highlights in here now, which is going to be this color. Throw some the teeniest, tiniest touch of that Windsor blue in there to make it a little greener. Gosh, that blue is crazy. But just a touch of that in there, it absolutely ruins the color. It's tough. All right, this is going to be rocket surgery. Just want to put a little bit of that in there. Just a little bit. You know, I'm going to use a little brush. I don't want to do it twice. And I'm going to go ahead and do this whole section in that color. I want a little more yellow, I think. Maybe a touch more red. Try and get some brush marks in there. Trying to get some variation in color in there. Because I'm thinking maybe I'll throw this in there and just leave it. Maybe just add like some sort of subtle things, but basically the plan is to get in there in one go. So I do want some places to rest your eyes in here in this painting, because it's crazy busy up there. Just want something that you don't have to think too much about. And this little plain will be that, this little valley or whatever it is. Throw some rocks or something in there. Okay. Now I'm going to be very careful. Try to highlight this hill a little bit. And just dry brush a little bit of this in there. I'm regretting this. I'm regretting that a lot. Guess we're going back to that kind of red-black color. A little bit greener this time. Okay, I'm going to stick with that. There's some of this color in here. Just black here. This whole section down here needs to be thought about. But I think I'm going to not think about it right now. Just going to try and cover up some of the blue, because I don't think I want it to be ocean or pond or whatever it is. I mean, I guess it could be. Do some reflections of that sky in the water. Might be interesting. For now, the plan is to make this another hill, which means not blue. I'm going to mist this paint so I can pick it up a little easier. All right, now I'm going to be very careful and add just a little bit of texture in here. Not much. Just a wee bit. Oh, too much. Disaster. Whatever. That's good enough. All right. Now, I think I'm going to work more in here. Still needs a lot of work. A lot of work. Just cleaning my brushes right now. Okay. So, I want more tree shapes over in there. And I need to fix this tree. I need to add some highlight bushes and trees in there. I'm going to try and paint that other tree that I wanted in there. Oof. It's really wet. I don't know if I want to use that. I'm going to try it. It's not really doing anything. It's about the same color as what's already there. I think I'm going to carve that out with darks, actually. Mix up some more of that red, black color. I'm just going to carve a tree out of there. Negative paint and style. Try to make those dark spots kind of look like trees too. The same thing over here. All right. Throw some texture in here. It's looking a little plain. Okay. Those look like trees now. They just need some highlights. So they don't look like tree-shaped blobs. They look actually like they have some leaves or something. Just going to be tricky to do. Thinking I try some of this. It's not really doing it. I need to just wait for this to dry too before I mess any more with that. I'm going to try and play with these trees in here a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do for that is add some purple and not that much blue. I'm learning. That blue is too strong. Okay. See, still want more blue. I want these to be kind of cooler. Cooler. Okay. I'm going to try to carve some of these trees out too. Okay. Thinking more in here. Didn't mix up enough of this color, I don't think. Okay. That's probably more purple than I really needed to add there. Actually, maybe I'm going to add some more of that back in there. I didn't want so much of that in the front. I wanted more of that like in the back. To kind of distinguish the front from the back. Because this all just still kind of looks like a blob. It is kind of starting to get some interesting shapes in it though. So I'm gonna add some purple in that shadow while I'm here and have some purple on my brush. Okay. Some kind of distant looking trees back in there. That's all that is. Okay. What next? I think maybe fix this tree. Because I don't like him. It's kind of ugly. Problem is, I'm running out of colors. Trying to make these back in here a little more subtle. I might add like a mid-tone in there because it goes like straight from this light to this dark, which is not really what I want. Honestly, I didn't really want it to be that light in the first place. I was kind of hoping it would stay sort of dark in there. It was just hard to see it. Trying to figure out what I want to do here with this tree. I think I'm going to mix up a mid-tone instead. Try that. I think this is kind of in the middle. Eh. Add some blacks in there. I killed all the really light spots, which kind of turned that tree into nothing, which wasn't really what I wanted to do either. Just trying to carve him in. Which means I need more lights again. I'm gonna try that. Actually not quite as light as I wanted it. The texture's good. The color's not quite strong enough, I think. I think I'm just gonna highlight him right here a little more. I'm just gonna add a little bit of white in there and a little bit of red in there too. More white. Ooh, this is like too pink. I'm gonna try just permanent rose actually. I had this tube of permanent rose sitting here. I'm gonna bust him out just a little bit. Throw some of that in there. Just to hype the color up. Guess I'm throwing all of it in there. All right, we'll see what that does. I'm gonna stipple it on. Trying to be a little bit subtle with it. And I'm gonna try and get a point on the top. Oh. Oh no. Disaster. It's turning weird now. I don't know. It's kind of more the color intensity that I want, but it's a bit too bright, I think. Try and blend some of that. Yikes. Needs more work. I'm gonna have to carve that tree back out with more black. Maybe I'll try one other thing before I do that. Let's throw some. No, I don't like that. I'll just try to put a tree next to him, see if that'll put him in there. Add a little contrast to make him stick in there. Add another one. All right, I might try sleeping on this one. Needs a lot of work. A lot of work. But it's off to a pretty good start, I think. It's got some decent looking colors in it. It's got some decent contrast. Just needs 1 or 2 more sessions to iron it out. So that'll probably be the next stream, is part 2 of this. First off, let's get a little bit of a closer up view of it. Kind of assess what we've got. I kind of like the colors in here. The shapes aren't great yet, but the colors look pretty nice. And it's got like some sort of red browns in there that contrast pretty well with this sort of purple color here. And this color, eventually that's going to be a tree. It just needs some kind of highlights. This thing, the shape is wrong, but the color is good. This is just a block in. This tree, kind of want to make a feature, but it needs work. It needs something, the right side of it doesn't quite look right. The left side of it kind of looks wrong too. These need fixing. This needs fixing. Probably shouldn't have put that there. This needs something in front of it. I'm going to add some foreground bushes so that it doesn't look like there's a line, here. The mountains, I might leave. I mean, they're not the focal point anyway, and they've got enough detail that they're interesting to look at. I don't love the shape of them, especially this triangle thing there. But I mean, it's kind of interesting to leave the first impression. And that was the first impression of them. The sky is kind of another story. It might need some serious help. I kind of like it from like here down. I think the white looks okay. I think the pink looks okay. I think the top of it looks okay. I think up here looks okay. But I don't know. In here, it seems like it's a little bit busy for my taste. Kind of wish it was a little bit poofier. Like there was, like these are big clouds or something. But I don't know. It might stay that way. Not sure. I'm thinking down here, I'm just going to leave this. And this will be kind of a simple part. And then down here, I'm going to add maybe I'll add water down here, or it'll be a hill. If it's water, it's going to be a reflection of the sky. And then maybe I'll throw in this reflection down here. Maybe this reflection over here. That might be kind of interesting. For now, it's not in paint over territory quite yet. It's still looking like it's got some potential. But I think that's all I'm going to do on it for today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close off the stream.